Hey guys, just a quick channel update before I jump into this tutorial. I'm thinking about starting up a region to play with some of the subs. If you're interested in playing with me and with some other people who also watch these videos, just give me an inbox through YouTube, and I just want to see how many people are actually interested in doing this, and then I'll start up a region. I'm also thinking of starting up a series where you guys challenge me building a specific type of city or a city in the shape of something, just something fun. Just comment down below what you would like to see me design a city around, or how I should design a city. I would think that'd be quite interesting and a good way to involve you guys in what I'm doing. But for now, into this tutorial. Now, to get things started, this tutorial is about building just a general city. I'm not going to jump into specializations too much just yet. I do delve into education, but that's more of a way of advancing my industry further than just pure dirty industry. That's not really my specialization yet. I definitely need more region play, experience it before I start delving into some of the specializations, but don't worry, those videos are coming. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to set up a good street layout. Now, I covered some of this in my previous video, the 5000 SimCity guide, but in this one I want to delve into a little bit more deeply about how density works and how a basic street layout now will help you further on into the future when it comes with dealing with traffic. And it also helps with making a city look a whole lot prettier. We all start off with a regional access highway that we should continue on and make that at least part of, or if not the main street of your little city or town if you're not going to jump into size just yet. I would start off, a good starting off would be the medium density avenue, and I create like a simple square with some few connecting lines in between and a small park in the middle later on when I can afford it. That's just a good outline of where to create a good CBD for my town, as well as allowing for high density residential further on in the game when I need it. Now, for this design, I decided to have at both ends of my town the town hall, and what my semi-focus was, it was education. So at one end around where the little ellipsis is, I have the town hall that eventually gets upgraded. Now make sure to leave plenty of space around it for when you do your upgrades. You can see how much space you need by the little white squares that come around your town hall. Remember, that's quite important, because if you limit the size of how your town hall will expand, you're going to limit to what your town's actually going to be able to do. And make sure you don't go too crazy with the budget here. Remember to put in your power and your water, otherwise your SimCity will take a little bit while to get going, which can be frustrating, especially if you watch the budget quite often. Now, I would recommend wind power and just a normal tank of water for now. Wind power, if you can put that in a place where there's good access to strong winds consistently, then that's perfect, go for it. But it is something to consider, and look at the infographics that you use. Now, I was talking before as to why I said I had one in my town, which is the town hall. Now, the other end I had education. So I've placed an elementary school, close to residential areas. Now, there's a reason why I have spent a lot of money going medium density road, like avenues, instead of just using dirt roads for residential. And that is because I want to focus my street design around the ideas of it being within a walkable distance. This helps lessen the load for vehicles, so there's less car traffic being necessary to use on your town. It's a lot better further on into the future when it comes to increasing density, when it goes from medium to high, or even low to medium, where their traffic volume increases quite significantly. And if you haven't planned ahead, you've gone quite sprawl, then you're going to struggle with traffic issues. And there's ways around it, but you can avoid them at the design stage, and that will save you money that you can invest in other things. So the way to do this really is to plan where you put your schools and your civic services around areas that will be within a walkable distance. Now, walkable distance is hard to measure in this game, but think of it with reason and common sense, really. The distance around the bus stop, which is 400 meters that they say in this game, is roughly equivalent to how far Sims walk in this game. They do walk further for different services. University, they do walk a lot further, but for elementary schools, they walk a shorter distance, and those things need to consider, as well as commercial shops. The more dense and compact your city is, the more walkable and the better for air pollution it is. The flip side with that, however, is you need industry from the get-go. That's how Sims make jobs. You need the products that those industry ships. So you need to put industry in, but having a condensed city means Sims will be living close to industry. and you're trying to avoid traffic problems, and Sims need to work in these factories. So if you put them far away, you're just going to cause traffic congestion anyway, with these Sims being funneled off down to one road. So if you can plan it where they're downwind from your residential, the wind is not, because the wind icon comes up when you place these industrial buildings. So make sure that wind isn't just blowing over your own houses, your own commercial services. Make sure that wind's taking that industrial smoke away from your town. Hopefully not into someone else's, but in this case I was lucky, just blew it out to sea. But keep an eye on that as that goes, because you do need the industry. The industry sends products to the commercial services. The commercial services sells those to residents. Residents buy that as happiness. Happiness equals density in this game. I will jump into density a little bit later on as to how density works, but for now I want to talk about, you want to start thinking, when my town hall upgrades to a city hall, which way are you going to go? I went education so I can unlock higher education. This folds into me wanting to be able to unlock higher tech factories which produce less air pollution, which means I can put them closer to where the residents live, where the workers live, because they produce less air pollution. They don't affect the land value as much. By the time you place your basic industry, residential and commercial, you're going to start thinking about waste and rubbish. Now, these things are inevitable, and early on in the game you're not going to be able to afford or even unlock the recycling plant or any of the sort of wastewater management systems that you unlock later on in the game. So you're just kind of stuck with the pump early on in the game. And if you're a greenie, the way you want to go is you want to try and unlock the utilities section of the town hall to try and work away that kind of pumping raw sewage just into the ground that creates groundwater. It's more difficult to open up buildings later on, especially residential houses, where if you decide to expand and it goes on top of that ground pollution, you're going to have the problem of germs, and that's going to cost you health clinics. For rubbish tips, try and think well ahead, and also take into consideration the wind direction as well. Just build that quite far away from your city, but not too far so it takes too long for your trucks to get around and service everyone. You should be right for a small town, but do think if you're going to go green, you want to go recycling center and get that done. It is really expensive, but it's a good way of helping your medium wealth Sims increase their happiness. Now, speaking of medium wealth Sims, you've probably noticed as your town's slowly coming along now that the Sims' wealth is starting to go less away from low wealth Sims who first move in to employ the factories, slowly going to medium wealth Sims as they make more money. Now, medium wealth Sims are going to put more stress on having parks and services that they appreciate. Because I focused on schools, I have the sort of infrastructure that they want there. But the things that they like is they like pretty neighborhoods, and pretty neighborhoods means parks. Now make sure you have the right selection of parks for the type of neighborhood that you're trying to support. Now you might see pop up every once in a while in the game that your shops need more medium wealth customers. So you think to yourself, alright, I'll just zone some more residential. But what you're doing when you're zoning more residential is, if you don't have the immediate demand for medium wealth Sims, they won't straight away move into that neighborhood. You're going to need to think of increasing the happiness of the Sims that are already existing to try and encourage further density, and therefore further medium wealth Sims living in that region, or in your city, sorry. So then one way to do that is to look at your parks. Now each park has a different value. I talk about that in my other video, but I'm just going to gently recap on it here. You want to bring in these parks and make sure that the medium wealth parks serve medium wealth businesses and medium wealth Sims, just to attract them and bring them into your city. And I'm obviously going to take a fairly big time jump in the video here, but you can just follow this general model and just make sure that you densify rather than spread out. And if you focus on densifying, you'll find you'll solve a lot of your traffic issues, air pollution issues, just through smart design rather than uncontrolled sprawl, which is quite a big issue, especially when it comes to traffic. So think density rather than sprawl when it comes to residential demand. If you're getting, say, we need more workers, build more parks. Try and increase the happiness, try and increase the densities. Because unfortunately in this game, density isn't influenced by demand, density is influenced by the happiness of your Sims. The happiness of your Sims is simply influenced by parks around them, the services they have access to. Give them those services, give them those parks, they'll be happy, they'll zone up. Those services also do include police and fire protection, so the more factories that you have, the more the more those services are going to be demanded for. And those do make Sims happy, and they will, even though they tax you quite a bit, that income comes out for supporting those infrastructure. If you're allowed to densify, you do take in more income from those Sims. Okay, so we've jumped ahead in time, and we're at a much larger population than we were before, but we've just followed that simple model, so there's nothing too crazy that's happened here. And the one thing that I have been able to invest in is a university, and with that university, a ferry dock. Now, ferry docks are quite good. They bring in regional travelers, from your region, interregional travelers, as well as tourists who come in and buy services from your shop. So just make sure that you have systems that are able to move those tourists around from wherever your public transport system is. Sorry, your regional transport system to your local transport system. Make sure you have those connections, because the connections are quite important. You might have a walkable city center, but if those Sims can't get from the train station or the ferry station to the city center, then you're going to have a problem. I decided to use in my city streetcars. I find them a lot more pretty than buses. I try to avoid going down buses, and I decided instead to invest in streetcars. And they did help quite a lot, because as you can tell, I've got a bit of high density now. They help a lot with the traffic issues I have by moving Sims around wherever they need to go. So by this stage in the game, I was able to invest in a university. Now, before I jump down into talking about the university and what it means for your region and your town, I'm going to talk about university as it is basically the tip of everything with relating to education. Now, education is really important to having a successful city, because education is a tool for social mobility. Now, that sounds pretty crazy, but what it means is it just allows your Sims to move between different wealth brackets. It allows them to go up from low to medium or from medium to high. This is because they basically are able to get higher paying jobs, which is reflected from their education, and because they have a high paying job, it also allows them to get greater incomes. Greater incomes allows them to spend more money in your commercial services, and that means greater happiness. Greater happiness means more density means more Sims, basically allows you to build higher population, more happy, more wealthy Sim state. It's an expensive investment, but it is a good investment, especially long term, where the more your Sims become educated, the happier, the more dense your city will become. Now for the university itself. The university basically allows you to research some extra technologies for your city, or research some great work site. Now, unfortunately, I was only playing on a small map, and even though I was working with a friend here, we still weren't able to get enough money to afford a great work site, and that's basically because we didn't work on any of the specializations relating to manufacturing production. And I'll get onto that later on in a separate video, because there's a whole other bag of tricks. But basically, it allows you to specialize, either becoming engineering, science. It allows you to unlock those. Now, to unlock those, it's very similar to how your town hall works, is you need a certain amount of population before you can upgrade. In this case, it's about 1,000 students attending your university before you can upgrade it. Now, if you just have one town, even at the max population, I had about 100,000 Sims in the city. My Sims University was taking in just under 2,000 Sims, so I was able to upgrade it once, and I put in a science school. It allowed me to unlock some better technology and increased high-tech industry. But I wasn't able to expand it any further, and that's because I just simply couldn't pull any more students into my region. So if you're going to go for a university, make sure you can sustain it with students, either from your own city or from surrounding cities. And this is definitely where the multiplayer feature comes in. So if you have more than one city, this is brilliant, and use that to your advantage, because there are a lot of advantages having multi-city comes in to it. Not only allowing you to push forward more into your education and upgrade your university even further to benefit yourself as well as other players, but if other players upgrade their town hall, say with a finance center or the education center, that means you get the ability to have those buildings that the education, say, facility unlocks in your own town without yourself having to invest in it. So it allows you to build other things, such as the extra fire station through the utilities expansion or through the financial expansion. These things are regional benefits, and they're really, really important to start thinking about if you're going to expand your city. Just to sum this all up, if you're looking for some quick tips on this game, really, is to stay on your toes and making sure everything is in working order. You know, if you supply the jobs, if you supply the commercial services, if you supply the residential zones and the happiness, you'll be sweet as. That's all you need to really worry about, especially if it's just a basic city. So all you're really interested in is just having a basic working city, no deep specializations. That's all you need to think about. And just before you go and expand for residential demand, think, could I densify instead? Would densifying give me the advantages that I'm looking for with these expanded residentials without the consequences of poor traffic development? You need to think about these things. Just think things through before you jump down to decision before you go crazy. I hope this tutorial helped. I really hope to go into more of the specializations a bit deeper, and into any other aspects of this game a little bit deeper as well. If you guys have any questions, any comments, please post them down in the comment section. You know, it gives me something to do when I'm not doing these videos. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed and I hope this helped. Thanks for sticking.